Hi kids, welcome to TeaFairy Storytime. And today we are going to be talking about Bigfoot. He's one of my favorite guys. This is my Bigfoot. See his big feet? He's got very big feet. It even says Bigfoot on his foot. You see his eyes? They're like buried way down in the hair. But this is a little Bigfoot. If there is a real Bigfoot, they're very, very big. And today, I've got a story about Bigfoot. And this book was written by an author named Scott Magoon. What a great name. And he writes lots and lots of books. This is The Boy Who Cried Bigfoot. Have you guys ever heard of the story of the boy who cried wolf? This is kind of like that, but a little bit different. He's big, he's hairy, he's not real. Or is he? See all the big feet? Lots and lots of big feet. For all those who swear it's true, with special thanks to believers Rebecca, Alex, Lizzie, and Chloe. The Boy Who Cried Bigfoot by Scott Magoon. There's the boy and his dog. This is the story of my friend Ben and how we first met. And so here's the boy on his bicycle, and he's riding straight up a very big hill, and his little doggy's chasing him. Ben liked to tell stories. Look, everyone, it's Bigfoot! And the doggy over here is going, where? You see it? See his head spinning? Do you think there's really a Bigfoot? Let's find out. He liked to tell stories. Wah. Well, I don't see him. I don't know. I have to try to turn the pages from the top because they all want to stick together. A lot. He liked to tell stories a lot. Bigfoot! Look at the doggy's face. He looks angry that he's telling stories that aren't true. All that practice made him a pretty good storyteller. And he looked like this, and he sounded like this. That's a scary noise. He even used props. What a tenacious little fellow he was. See here, he's got a stick with a fake foot on it, and he's making Bigfoot tracks in the dirt with his fake foot. Do you know what tenacious means? It means like he keeps at it. He doesn't give up. People came from all over town to see Bigfoot. They waited and they waited, but the creature never appeared. He walked right through here, see? And his dog looks very angry. Why do you think his dog is so angry? Is it because he's not telling the truth? After many hours with no sightings, everyone suspected that Ben had made it all up. Bigfoot isn't real. He is real. His feet were this big. He was right here. I saw him. And see Ben waving his arms around. And there's his dog sticking out his tongue. He's like, bleh. And there's Ben. He's mad. And there's his dog. He's mad too. Everybody's mad. People are all mad at Ben because they think he's telling stories. And then, look at Ben's eyes. Oh, look at the doggy's eyes. They heard a noise. Crack. Like a stick breaking or something like that. Oh no. Turn the page. I don't ever remember crossing paths with you, Littlefoot, I said. And here is the main story. This is the guy that's telling the story. Who do you think he is? Bigfoot? He says, I don't ever remember seeing you before. I don't remember crossing paths with you. I didn't normally talk to a Littlefoot, but there was something about this Ben that I liked. He was a determined fellow. I also liked his bike. I asked, mind if I take it for a ride? Bigfoot? Can you see Bigfoot and holding the bicycle? Can you imagine him riding that bicycle? Bigfoot! Bigfoot! Bigfoot is stealing my bike! And there's Bigfoot on the bike. And the doggy's very happy because he likes Bigfoot. And Bigfoot seems pretty happy too. He likes the bicycle. And my dog! Bigfoot is laughing and the dog is riding on his lap while he rides the bike. Alas, no one believed Ben anymore. No one came running. It seemed Ben found being alone to be a little scary. Ding, ding. I think that's probably the bell on the bicycle. Fortunately for Ben, he wasn't alone at all. Ben, where are you? Come home. It's time for dinner. And it was time for me to go home. Bigfoot needed to go home too. It was his dinner time as well. I'm sorry I created such a ruckus, Ben said, but I really did see him, Mom. Oh, Ben, she said, let's go home. And can you see Bigfoot peeking out of the trees? He's just peeking his eye out. He's hiding there in the trees because Bigfoots like to hide. So Ben and his family went home and had a hot meal. I don't know what a hot meal is, but I do know that Ben learned the importance of always telling the truth. And he wanted everyone to know he really had seen me. And there I am, and I'm saying, shh. I love Bigfoot. So the next morning, he set out to prove it. What a tenacious fellow he is. And you know how he's going to prove it? Look at all the camera equipment that he's got. He wants to film Bigfoot. He wants to prove it. And that is Bigfoot, The Boy Who Cried Bigfoot by Scott Magoon. And he has another book. It's called Mostly Monsterly. And I think that I want to get a copy of that sometime. It looks like it's a fun one. Thank you, Scott, for letting us share your book. Much appreciated.
Hi, kids. It's a Rex moment. And I'm here with my friend, Violet Crabtree. Isn't that a wonderful name? Hi, Violet.
Hi.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I make claymation and other stop motion animated videos. And that means that I make little puppets and I move them around and I take lots and lots of pictures, put them on a row and it makes a movie.
That's super cool. So you use clay, like Play-Doh?
Not Play-Doh, modeling clay.
Oh, cool. So like the kind of clay that you can use over and over again.
That's right.
And so you make it into like different things like dragons?
I haven't made dragons. I made dinosaurs before.
Oh, I like dinosaurs. They're kind of like dragons.
Yeah.
I've heard that you're working on a new, is it a full-length movie?
That's right. So it's going to be at least an hour long.
Wow, that's so amazing. Does it take a long time?
It's going to take me a few years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So a music video takes you how long then?
A couple of months, two to 4 months.
Now I know that you do other art too. I saw you one time you were doing something for the Arcata Playhouse and it involved paper and glue, which are two of my favorite materials.
Yeah, you can see back there is some of the paintings that I've been working on. They're forests, and I can grab one. Yeah, so I made some paintings. I haven't been doing them as much lately because I've been working on the animation. Building the set is what I've been doing, which means that I make the whole world is what it means, where the puppets live.
Like all the trees and the houses and stuff.
Yes, I made a house, which is a circle of redwood trees, and inside the circle is where the Bigfoot lady lives, and she has all her furniture and all her stuff's in there, right in the forest. Okay, so these are some this is a little pot that my Sasquatch lady, that also means Bigfoot. Sasquatch and Bigfoot mean the same thing. This is a pot where she cooks her food. It's got a little lid. And she makes all her dishes and things, so it looks a little wobbly.
What to eat?
Well, she eats things that she finds in the forest or in the stream. And she also has no, she doesn't like to go to town because she's scared of people. She stays in the wild.
Okay.
But one thing she eats is she eats eggs. There's a nest on top of her house, and the eggs come down through a little hole and they land in a basket, and then she cooks them up.
That's funny.
Here's a little cracked egg that I made.
I love eggs. Eggs are good for you. They're protein, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is when she has a regular looking egg, and then she cracks it open, and then that's what that'll look like.
So does she have a chicken that lives on top of her house?
She has an egret living on top of her house. That's a white bird that's really tall and kind of skinny with a really long neck, and it hunts for fish in the marsh, and then it lives in trees.
Okay. We have cranes out here on the East Coast. Is that kind of the same thing?
Yeah, just like that, except they're white. And this is her jar where she keeps her tea. She drinks a lot of tea. This is
TeaFairy drinks a lot of tea too.
This is her tea jar. That's all I have to show today. Everything else is over at my studio right now.
Do you have something else that inspires you or that you feel passionate about?
Well, being in nature is a big inspiration. So I try to take lots of walks and bike rides and make time for looking around at it. And that's how I come up with my ideas. Pretty much I just look around where I live, which is a really beautiful place. And then I think about things.
In Northern California in the Redwood Forest, right?
That's right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Along the Pacific Ocean. So you have lots of beautiful things to inspire you.
Yeah, I do. And I'm really lucky because I get around on my bike. But I can do that here because we have things we have the ocean, the bay, the marsh, and the forest all within biking distance. So
you don't have a car?
I do. I just don't drive it really. I'm more into the bike.
I think that's good. It's good exercise.
Yeah, it's something, once you start doing it, you kind of get addicted to it. You got to do it every day. It feels great.
But your artwork takes a lot of practice too.
Yeah, I just started doing it. I didn't go to school or anything. I just do it, and I do it for fun. And now I'm kind of doing it for a job. So, but I like it. Yeah.
Do you make mistakes sometimes?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. Does it make you embarrassed?
Well, sometimes I look at my earlier work and I feel a little embarrassed about it.
Oh, I like your early work. I've seen it. It's cool.
Yeah.
I try to tell kids that everybody makes mistakes and that they shouldn't let that keep them from doing what they think is a cool, fun thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. And you have to make a lot of mistakes and you just have to keep going. And that's how it is. Everything's like that. You just got to keep doing it and eventually you get good at it.
So I think TeaFairy is going to show a couple of your videos. I know for the Bigfoot one, she's going to do that song. What is it called? It's by Lindsay Battle. Bigfoot.
It's called Bigfoot. Bigfoot, Hes People.
Yes, Bigfoot, Hes People.
Walking through the forest, much to my surprise, facing towards the east, to the sunrise, I saw a footprint an unusual size and caught a glimpse of a creature at the corner of my eyes. He was fumbling with the laces of a big old boot, sitting on the edge of a redwood root. He threw up his hands and said, "Hey, don't shoot, I'm people, I'm people." Bigfoot, he's people, leave him alone. Bigfoot, he's people, the forest is his home. Bigfoot, he's people, leave him alone. Bigfoot, he's people, the forest is his home. So hard to find, he lifted up his boots into the sunshine, where I could see his most clever design. And the soles were chiseled footprints just like yours and mine. No more banana slugs stuck in his toes. No more people wondering where he comes and goes. All that Bigfoot wants you and me to know is he's people, he's people. Bigfoot, he's people, leave him alone. Bigfoot, he's people, the forest is his home. Bigfoot, he's people, leave him alone. Bigfoot, he's people, the forest is his home.
Today's book, second book, is The Tree in the Ancient Forest by Carol Reed Jones and illustrated by Christopher Canyon. And Carol actually sent in a video where she talks about trees. So we're going to watch that. Or we might have already watched it. I don't know. In all nature, there is something of the wonder. Aristotle. This is the ancient forest. And you see this beautiful bird here? This is an eagle. Truly, there is something wonderful in every bit of nature. Every animal and plant, no matter how small, even in a microscope, is important in nature. The plants and animals in this story depend upon one another for survival. This kind of mutual need is called interdependence. Somewhere near your home is a wild natural area where the plants and animals all rely upon one another. It may be a woodland or a wetland, a prairie, a desert, a jungle, or a tundra. Even if the plants and animals living near you are different from those in this story, they are all interdependent in the same kinds of ways that the plants and animals in this story are. Walk softly when you go to a wild place. If you must speak, whisper. Whisper. Look for the birds, insects, and other animals that live there. Sit in one place for a few minutes without speaking or moving. Listen to the many different sounds. Which sounds are made by birds? How many of them are made by insects or larger animals? Can you smell flowers or other plants, even the soil? Right now I'm smelling a lot of leaves because it's fall. Is there a breeze that makes grass, leaves, or branches rustle? Do you hear water from a stream? Look closely at the ground. What tiny insects and plants can you find? You will probably find many more living things than you first imagined. Just as all these plants and animals depend on one another, we also depend upon all of nature. It is important that we learn to preserve and respect these living things, not only for ourselves, but for our children and grandchildren and all the wonderful creatures who share this planet with us. This is the 300-year-old tree that grows in the ancient forest. Isn't it beautiful? 300 years old. Wow. That's a long time. These are the roots that draw food from the soil to nourish the tree that is 300 years old that grows in the ancient forest. You see the clover and the ferns. I've lived near an ancient forest that had redwood trees in it. I believe that these trees, though, are Douglas firs. And again, pages don't want to turn for me. 1 second. There we go. These are the tiny underground truffles that grow on the roots that draw food from the soil. Do you see the truffles? Truffles are kind of like a fungus. To nourish the 300-year-old tree that grows in the ancient forest. So this is like food for the tree. Truffles. Truffles actually taste really good. And look, you can see the dewdrop on the leaves and the spider webs. I love the illustrations. These are the voles and mice that tunnel and eat the tiny underground truffles that grow on roots that draw food from the soil to nourish the 300-year-old tree that grows in the ancient forest. That one's a vole, and that one's a mouse. This is the owl that flies at night, that hunts the voles and mice that tunnel and eat the tiny underground truffles that grow on the roots that draw food from the soil to nourish the tree, the 300-year-old tree that grows in the ancient forest. So here's the owl, and here is a mouse. He's going to hunt the mouse. He's going to eat the mouse. Nom, 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 nom. These are the sleepy owlets that are fed by the owl that flies at night, that hunts the voles and mice that tunnel and eat the tiny underground truffles that grow on roots that draw food from the soil to nourish the 300-year-old tree that grows in the ancient forest. How many owlets do you see? 1, 2, 3. Baby owls are called owlets. Can you say that? Good job. This is a hollow in the tree. Do you see the hollow in the tree? It's like a hole. Home of the sleepy owlets that are fed by the owl that flies at night, that hunts the voles and mice that tunnel, and eat the tiny underground truffles that grow on the roots that draw food from the soil to nourish the 300-year-old tree that grows in the ancient forest. That's called a hollow. Can you say hollow? Good job. This is the woodpecker searching for ants that started the hollow in the tree. See, he makes little holes with his beak. Home of the sleepy owlets that are fed by the owl that flies at night, that hunts the voles and mice that tunnel, and eat the tiny underground truffles that grow on roots that draw food from the soil to nourish the 300-year-old tree that grows in the ancient forest. You see the big red-headed woodpecker? He eats the bugs that are in the tree, and he drills holes. Bonks his little head. This is the saucy, chattering squirrel that scolds the woodpecker searching for ants that started the hollow in the tree, home of the sleepy owlets that are fed by the owl that flies at night, that hunts the voles and mice that tunnel and eat the tiny underground truffles that grow on roots that draw food from the soil to nourish the 300-year-old tree that grows in the ancient forest. See the squirrel? We have lots of squirrels around here, but out on the west coast where these forests are, there's different kinds of squirrels. Where I used to live, there was little tiny black squirrels that had big pointy ears that had fur at the top of them, and they lived at the very tops of the trees, so we very rarely saw them. But one time I did, and it was right before I left California. And it was loud. He went, chick, 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 chick. This is the hungry, stealthy martin that stalks the saucy, chattering squirrel, that scolds the woodpecker searching for ants, that started the hollow in the tree, home of the sleepy owlets, that are fed by the owl that flies at night, that hunts the voles and mice that tunnel and eat the tiny underground truffles that grow on the roots that draw food from the soil to nourish the 300-year-old tree that grows in the ancient forest. Now this martin is also an animal that only lives on the West Coast. It's kind of like a weasel, but I don't know, there's a difference. I'd have to look it up. But do you see a marten? He's kind of cute. Uh-oh, there he is. Looks like he's getting bonked on the head by something. These are the fir cones that fall from a branch and startled the hungry, stealthy marten that stalks the saucy, chattering squirrel, that scolds the woodpecker searching for ants, that started the hollow in the tree, home of the sleepy owlets that are fed by the owl that flies at night, that hunts the voles and mice that tunnel and eat the tiny underground truffles that grow on roots that draw food from the soil to nourish the 300-year-old tree that grows in the ancient forest. Are you guys seeing a pattern here? See the fir cones? I have some of those. I brought them with me. This is the 300-year-old tree that grows the fir cones that fall from a branch and startled the hungry, stealthy marten that stalks the saucy, chattering squirrel, that scolds the woodpecker searching for ants, that started the hollow in the tree, home of the sleepy owlets that are fed by the owl that flies at night, that hunts the voles and mice that tunnel and eat the tiny underground truffles that grow on the roots that draw food from the soil to nourish the 300-year-old tree that grows in the ancient forest. And that, my friend, is the end of the book. And then it shows you the characters of the story, and there's like small details about each one. Let's look up the marten. It's a shy relative of the weasel. Martens live mostly up in the trees and are not often seen by humans. They eat squirrels, rabbits, mice, birds, eggs, berries, seeds from pine cones, and even sometimes honey. And then it talks about what the ancient forest is, the large old standing tree, what a snag is, what fallen trees are, what the multi-storied, multi-species forest canopy is all about, and why ancient forests are important. Maybe I should read that part. Ancient forests are critical to animals and to us. Of the animals in this story, the marten, pileated woodpecker, and northern spotted owl are especially dependent upon very large old trees. If they do not have ancient forests in which to live, they may become extinct. In addition, we are only now beginning to discover plants and animals that are unique to ancient forests. They may be helpful to us in ways that we do not yet understand. Do you know what extinct means? It means all gone, no more. Ancient forests purify the air. A single old-growth Douglas fir can have as many as 60 million needles with a total surface area of about 1 acre. That's big. These needles are constantly filtering the air, absorbing carbon dioxide and producing life-giving oxygen. An excess of carbon dioxide is considered to be mainly responsible for global warming, the greenhouse effect. Ancient forests are irreplaceable. It takes a forest at least 200 years of undisturbed growth even to begin to have the characteristics that make it an ancient forest. Cutting down an ancient forest is not like mowing a lawn. Once an ancient forest is cut, we will never see it again. Even though over 90% of the ancient forests in North America have been cut, we can still save the remaining 10%. We can use wood products wisely, purchasing wood that has not been cut from ancient forests. We can use recycled paper or paper from other vegetable fibers such as cotton or bamboo. And we can support laws that will protect these forests. And then here's a picture of the author, Carol Reed Jones, and a picture of the illustrator, Christopher Canyon. And then there's a list of other nature awareness books that have been published. And this is a Dawn publication, and it's dedicated to inspiring in children a deeper understanding and appreciation for all life on Earth. And to find more books, you can go to www.dawnpub.com. And she sent us in a video talking about trees, so super exciting.
Hello, I'm Carol Reed Jones, and I'm the author of The Tree in the Ancient Forest. illustrated by Christopher Canyon. I'm here in a second growth forest right behind my home in the Pacific Northwest, and you can possibly hear the water running from a creek about 100 feet to my left. It's beautiful and peaceful here, and the greenery is very lovely to look at, both on sunny days and on cloudy ones like this one. I wrote The Tree in the Ancient Forest after I went to a presentation on ancient forests and was so excited by how the plants and animals were interdependent on one another. And I began to work with the words, and I realized after many months that I could make the text be patterned after the old nursery rhyme, "This is the house that Jack built. This is the ancient forest." Walking through an ancient forest is just a lovely experience, and I hope that you get a sense of it when you read my book.
Thanks for joining in, guys. I hope that you enjoyed today's show about Bigfoots and giant trees. Big feets, Bigfoots and big trees. That must be the theme today. Big, big, big. Have a good weekend. Bye.